Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Brendan Housler with EVOQ Bike. So I had an athlete that has a race coming up. We were talking about the sprint finish that has happened before at this race, and it sort of sparked the conversation of should you wait for the sprint? And this is kind of a granular topic, maybe not applicable to everybody. Definitely not really for people who aren't racing. Yes, for people who are doing group rides. But these are the type of topics that I think are important to talk about so that you can at least run this scenario through your head and through your mind about training if you do find yourself coming into this. So I don't want to give too many details of the finish because this athlete's race is coming up and I don't know exactly when I'm going to post this video. So I'll be a little obscure with it. But I guess the way I could say it is it's a gravel race. He knows that there's some super fast people coming. He's been through the finish before and does believe that he has some of the best raw power. But here's the caveat that I really want people to start thinking about. Should you wait for the sprint, even if you think you're the strongest sprinter? I say no. And here's why. A sprint, as everybody knows who's been in one, can be kind of chaotic, even if there's only 5 riders. You might slot in the wrong spot and box yourself in. Someone might make an attack from a K to go, a K and a half to K to go that you didn't expect. And now you're on your back foot and you're forced to react. Do you close it? Does someone else close it? Who's behind you ready to counterattack if you do catch them? There's all these little micro scenarios that can happen within this final sprint that you're waiting for, thinking that you've gotten the bag. The other piece is from the physical standpoint, what's your fatigue resistance like in sprinting? If you have a 1300-watt sprint, you don't know what it's going to be. You might not know what it's going to be that specific day at hour 5. Or even if it's a shorter race at hour 3, you're a little bit tired. So I just think that waiting is risky. And I would, instead of thinking of it as, hey, I have the strongest sprint, think of what's your full hand of cards, right? I think we can, how do I say this? We focus too much on one strength and forget about others. And I said, well, what about like a Haymaker? Have you, like, who are these other guys? And he said, oh, I think I have better like 3 to 5 minute power from the guys I know here. Well, okay. Before we say, dude, throw a Haymaker from, 5 minutes out, whatever that is, however many Ks, 3 Ks, 2 Ks, so that you can get to this sort of weird finish. It's kind of like a cyclocross type finish before everybody else, and you're by yourself. Like, is that a car that you can play? Even more important, I think this is the thing that we need to know, that I really don't have people practice this, and I'm almost wondering if I should more. And I think the times that I've more practiced it in training are when I'm on not a group ride per se, but when you go with some of your boys and you're just smashing different sections or sprint areas. Do you know when you can go like full send to try and get away from somebody, but still have a sprint? So for this rider, hey, can you throw if you're in a group of 5, can you throw a Haymaker? And instead of being the one before in the scenario before, the person on their back foot now having to react, force other people to react. Maybe you get away with just one other person. Now it's just 1v1 in the sprint. That's way better scenario. Or if someone drags you back, now someone's done all this work. Maybe they work together, or maybe one person did all the effort. Can you still throw another punch? Yeah, I mean, to play devil's advocate, you might not know, but do you know if that's even something you usually can do? I just think the thing that we want to think about is always think of your full deck of cards. Can you, besides sprint, do you have a VO2 max move? Are you like a pursuiter? How are you in those race scenarios also? Like, do you get to enough races or group rides that have these, I got to think really quick on my feet type scenarios? Excuse me, this is so much more, racing is so much more than just the watts. And I probably want to start repeating that more, because we still have, this was really big, especially after COVID, like the Zwift peak, everyone racing inside, and they went outside and raced against real humans. And it's a lot different than just power. And so I think we want to remember, why do you do group rides? This is something that you can work on, and just think through different race scenarios that come up. And then obviously remember the race, so that when this happens again, as you continue to race, a decade later, something from 5 years ago happens, and your brain unconsciously, knows what to do. Where do you move the chess piece, and when do you throw your Haymaker? The other thing that was connected in this video of sprinting that I notice on Instagram more is it seems like there's an obsession with 1 to 2 second power that people post their max. And I'm wondering, do people focus enough on like the 10-second power, the thing that really moves the bicycle down the road? Yeah, you could win a 5 second sprint, I guess, but what about a 20-second sprint? It's super long, and I find them to be terrible to do like full on, fully sprinting. The 1800-watt 1 second sprint doesn't mean much if your power degrades a lot when you have to do it for 20 seconds. Like if you are just and fizzle, it's not that great. And the last thing I would encourage people to, again, look at your hand of cards. If you have a very short 1800-watt sprint and you are a Cat 3, you don't need to be training that. Sure, I get it. It's cool to post on Instagram. But if you're out there training your sprint and you're a Cat 3 with 1800 watts or 1600 watts or 1500 watts, you probably don't need to do that. Work on your VO2 max, work on your threshold, figure out other ways to win. Like if you have that sprint power, you should be winning enough sprints to upgrade. You should be a Cat 1. So if you're not, and this isn't a diss, but it's just like think through. I've seen this more and more from multiple people. I'm like, why are they still doing that? The same workout over and over again? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. Think of all your cards. Should you wait for the sprint? I say probably not, especially if you have another card to play. So sort of small, minuscule, obscure topic. And the ad for the day, Lactigo. You've heard about it before. Carnosine will help you with hard efforts. You don't even have to use it for recovery. I do, but for the hard days, you'll set more PRs. Good luck with your training and racing. Check out the blog if you need more in-depth help. Search on the YouTube channel. Hit us up if you have questions, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.